Welcome back. Today I'm going to show some unboxing footage and a little mini review of a product that's no longer for sale. That's a little frustrating because when I went to look for the link to put in the description of this video, the sale page on Amazon had the product still there, but there was no price listed and it's not available anymore. But since I already made the footage and it might become available again, I'm going to go ahead and make this video. A lot of us, when we're building something, struggle with how to get two pieces of material held together at a 90-degree angle when we're going to attach it, whether we're gluing or screwing or nailing. And I could have kicked myself recently when I saw another YouTube video where someone just had a speed square and clamped it onto two pieces of material and held it at a 90-degree angle, and I thought, wow, I should have thought of that on my own. What I bought when I went to make my blanket box several months ago were these corner clamps here, which I think are made for picture frames, but they worked. I bought a set of two of these Irwins, and then I bought a set of two others. I don't remember where I bought the other two, but they didn't have a name brand on them. But basically, you just widen this until it's wide enough to put the material in here, and then you tighten it, and it holds it. You can see how long the screw is. It'll go out pretty wide, so it's wide enough to hold a 2x4. But the little ledge here is pretty short, so it'll only, grip onto about maybe half an inch of the material. So it's best for something small like picture frames or a small box. And they can be pretty cumbersome to use when you just have the loose material sitting there on the table kind of stood up, and you place these on there and try to tighten this, and then it moves a little bit. You can do it, but it's difficult to do with just two hands. And then not too long ago, I started seeing a whole slew of videos on YouTube with these 90-degree corner clamps, which are basically just a machined piece of aluminum with a bunch of holes in it. And then they come with these little L-shaped screws with a doohickey on it, and you basically just put one of these in here, or whichever hole you want, and you tighten this up with the board in between that and this. But all the ones that I saw being recommended were really expensive, so I just ignored them for a while until I found this set. Along with this one, I found a few others on Amazon and a few other sites that weren't that expensive, but a lot of them were really small. They just were about 3 inches. Some of them were 5.5 inches. And I thought I would want a little bit more than that, especially if I were building something larger like a blanket box or my work table. I was about to replace my work table when I was shopping for these. And so the ones I got are 7 inches by 7 inches. And here's the unboxing footage that I made at the time that I bought them. It came in a nice, really well-fitted set of styrofoam, I guess. It's smoother and comfier than styrofoam, so it's not that. It's some kind of foam. But it came with a pencil, and it came with a couple of cards that said thank you for buying these. The brand is KLUCZ, looks like KLUCZ, which looks like KLUCZ to me. Oddly enough, I'm pretty sure they were made in China, but one of the cards was in English and the other one was in Spanish. And they said two different things. It wasn't like one was a translation of the other. They were two different cards, but one in English, one in Spanish. But there's the 4 L-shaped screws that it came with, and then it came with these 4 threaded knobs that fit on the L-shaped screws. As you can see here, you just twist them on there. And then those little doohickeys, I'm not sure what they're called, but basically that's what holds the material to the 90-degree clamping square. And there's 2 of them that are fitted pretty well into the foam. I just kept this foam in this box as a storage container for the products. On one edge, there's millimeters, and on the other edge, there's inches. And as I said, they're 7 inches by 7 inches. The flip side doesn't have any markings on them, and the markings are not engraved. They're just, as far as I can tell, just printed on there. But they are made of fairly sturdy aluminum. There's a little tiny plastic bag with 4 washers that I presumed just go on the L-shaped screw there. And as I said, you just pop one into the hole on the square part and slide on the doohickey and put the washer on, and then screw the knob on, and it'll hold a piece of material. And all the aluminum was very well finished, smooth. There were no sharp corners, no extra little tabs of metal sticking out. The little extra hole in the foam there was a tiny little tape measure in there that was possibly the flimsiest tape measure that I've ever seen. And I think it only measured about 3 or 4 feet. And I just gave that to my son for a toy. And there was also a small pair of, and I say small pair of, white gloves. They were really small. There was no way neither my wife nor I could get our hands into those gloves. They fit my 10-year-old son perfectly, so I'm not sure who was the model for the gloves that came with this, or why there were gloves in it. But my son enjoyed taking those also as a toy. And here's some footage. When I went to test the product, I clamped on a couple of 2x4s onto one of these devices. If you need to use both of the corner clamps at the same time, then you'll only be able to put 1 L-shaped screw on each side of each corner clamp, because there's only 4 of those L-shaped screws. I would have preferred there would be 8, so that each of the corner clamps could have 2 on each side, so it'd be a better fit. But either way, it works. Also, you don't need to use these screw clamps to hold the 90-degree things onto the wood. You can just use a regular clamp, which is what I ended up doing when I went to make my new workbench a little bit after this. And I did, test, matched it up with my speed square. Here I'm just eyeballing it to make sure that it's square, but it was. And I also did the old test where you put one edge flat against the edge of a board and then draw a line, and then you flip it over and draw the line, and it came out even. So I'm pretty sure these are 90-degree squares, or as close as I need them to be. They go on and come off pretty easily if you have a place to set the wood. I did run into some problems when I had, big pieces of my workbench coming together, trying to hold all the pieces in place and screw these things on at the same time. But that's the same problem that I had with any other method for holding pieces of material at a 90-degree angle, whether it's clamping a speed square into the corner or using those picture frame clamps, whatever it is. You need extra hands. And it's always good if you can just, grab a kid or a wife to hold something just for a second while you get things clamped up. And if you don't, sometimes you have to, you have to improvise and put a stool under one piece or hold it against your leg or under your arm. But it works. And I was pretty happy with these. They were less than half the price of the big, really expensive name brand that's being advertised all over YouTube. I will say the brand name of that device if they decide to sponsor me, but that was just a joke. Nobody needs to sponsor me. But anyway, I was pretty happy with these. I hope they do come back to availability on Amazon because I would buy some more. But as I said, they're not available anymore. There's a bunch of other brands that look similar to this. They might even be made by the same company, but I don't know. But I haven't been able to find any others this large. Like I said, these are 7 inches. All the other ones that I found were 5.5 or smaller. And a bunch of them were about 3 inches, and I don't even know what you would use that for unless you were making a really small box. I just felt like the longer it is, the more it's going to ensure a 90-degree angle, and the shorter it is, the less it's going to ensure that. I don't know. Maybe the 3-inch ones work just fine. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.